Peace Leute, was geht? Heute mal mit einem neuen Video auf meinem Kanal. Heute spielen wir ein Game namens The Stanley irgendwas. Ja. Ähm, Ich frage mich auch, was hier abgeht. Auf jeden Fall, soweit ich es jetzt verstanden habe, geht es um einen Typen, der ich hier jetzt gerade bin, namens Stanley. Und anscheinend muss ich irgendwie, kriege ich Daten über diesen PC, also Stanley. Und die muss ich dann.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh, ja. Auf, was zum Geier. Auf jeden Fall, ja, bin ich auf jeden Fall dieser Stanley und muss solche Sachen prüfen. Aber ich hoffe, dass ihr als meine Zuschauer auch Englisch könnt. Und mich bei meinem Videospiel begleitet.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Natürlich, wisst ihr, wo er links ist, ne?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's
Ich kann
office,
nicht
hoping he
springen.
might find an
Bitte.
answer there.
Ah. Ich habe gerade eine Trophäe bekommen dafür, dass ich eine Trophäe bekommen habe. Das ist auf jeden Fall professionell. Für alle, die kein Englisch können, Broom ist Besen und Closet ist halt so Schrank, also so Besenkammermäßig übersetzt.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Na, ich mache mal jetzt das Gegenteil. Heute ist Gegenteiltag für mich.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe
1,
I
2,
am
B4.
crazy. All of my
Sehr geil.
co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeated? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh,
Das ist ich glaube, das ist ein Game, wo man Anomalitäten prüfen muss.
His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Auf einmal diese
Stanley
Stille.
began screaming.
Oh, nice.
Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who
The
am
fuck?
I? Who am I? And everything
Mein
went black.
Gott.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Okay, das war auf jeden Fall eine sehr interessante Geschichte. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah, ich glaube, ich habe reingekackt. Deswegen muss ich, glaube ich, nochmal neu machen, weil ich nicht darauf mich nicht konzentriert habe, was er gesagt
When
hat.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Nein.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Es gibt viel zu viele Wege in diesem Game. Ich weiß nicht, ob rechts oder links. Ene, mene, Miste, es rappelt in der Kiste. Ene, mene, Mac. Und du bist weg. Ja, okay. Dann gehen wir da nächstes Mal hin.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the...
No!
In his eagerness to prove that
Oh
he
my
is in
God.
control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley.
Ja.
Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Ey, Digga, das ist krass, ehrlich. Das ist krass.
All of his
Oh
co-workers
mein
were gone.
Gott.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the
Naja,
meeting room.
egal.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ja, da geht's dann noch mal lang. Das war toddumm.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley
Ich
knew it
speed das
perfectly
jetzt ein bisschen
well.
ab, weil sonst
Perhaps he
fuckt das
wanted to
aber nur
stop
eben
by
ab.
the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years
Diesmal
ago.
versuche ich muss mir alles besser angucken. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift. $5.000 Strafe oder was, Digga? Chill.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
Was zur Hölle, da unten ist ja auch noch eine Tür.
Please, stop trying to make every decision by
Da ist eine...
yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Digga, es ist viel zu viel, was man hier machen kann.
Your chance to
Das ist
redeem
schlimm.
yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Ja, Bro, wie soll ich das aufnehmen? Bin ich tot? Ah! Auf einmal mein...
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Warte.
Gotcha. Oh, come on.
Digga, einfach so ein
Did you
Prank.
actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley.
Das ist
I'm
hart.
trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Nein, ich will nicht schon wieder sterben.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown.
Was zur Hölle ist mit diesem Haus los, Digga? Wie zur Hölle ist das gebaut, Bro?
It was wonderful. And each day
Digga.
that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Das ist hart.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth.
Falls ihr so mitkommt, so, wenn nicht, ist so verschwinden.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy
Was zur
world,
Hölle hat die da
he began to fill
hingekackt,
it with
Digga?
many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Sure.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here,
I hate Mondays.
Stanley,
nice.
the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again.
Please die! Was? Wieso soll ich sterben?
I tried again. And Stanley
Was zur Hölle?
And I tried.
Oh, nice. Einfach tot.
Wait,
Okay.
Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They
Ich
never
versuche
stopped.
mal jetzt.
Surely I was mistaken.
Ich mache einfach nicht das, was er sagt. So, immer noch. Ich versuche jetzt mal. Ich habe jetzt ja eben diesen Weg gesehen. Ich weiß nicht, ob ich da sterbe, wenn ich ja jetzt in dieses, wo ich eben gesehen habe, bei diesem Lagerhaus. Vielleicht schaffe ich das da.
The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Never.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting. What? Really?
Ich habe das überlebt?
Do you have zero consideration for others?
Yes,
Are you
sir.
that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this.
Danger
but
everywhere?
I really do
Oh
want
my
to
God.
help you, to show you something beautiful.
Gefahr.
Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Ja, prove it, prove it. No buckets? Ich hab keine Eimer.
Now listen
Oh
carefully,
my God.
this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
No. Will ich zu der roten Tür? Ich versuche eigentlich immer da genau das zu machen. Also genau das Gegenteil zu machen von dem, was Tim sagt. Also wenn ich jetzt durch die rote gehe, wie er gesagt hat, nein. Dann bin ich NPC. Ich gehe jetzt durch blau.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Ich will ihn mal richtig aufregen, Digga.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Red. Ich mach den nicht krass.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
Oh mein Gott.
You see?
Was,
There's nothing here. I
was
haven't
zur
even
Hölle?
finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed
Da hinten
developer
ist was,
textures.
Digga.
Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth
Ja?
ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
No.
A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a 1? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look. Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
%98 der Spieler sind attraktiver als Stanley. Das ist bodenlos, Digga. Ey, das ist so dumm. Oh, oh, oh. Digga, wie viele? 91.000 Türen? Okay, Bro, danke, ne? Das ist hier Superior. Dead Rat! Wieso habe ich eine tote Ratte als Gegner? Was zur Hölle? Bro, what the heck? Ich scheiß auf dieses scheiß Leaderboard, Digga. Come on. Jetzt wieder am White. Hä? Na danke, ne? Bin ich jetzt... Was zur Hölle? Hä? Ah, okay. Aber was zur Hölle soll ich jetzt machen? Ich versuche jetzt nochmal neu. Vom Spawn Point halt.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Das ist ja asozial. Hä, war ich hier eben schon? Warte mal, bin ich dumm? Hä? Das Game ist diesmal ganz anders als vorher. Hä? Jetzt geht nach links, ist gleich. Aber jetzt? Hier nach rechts und das sieht alles anders aus. Was zum Geier?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open
Komisch.
doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and
I don't
Stanley
care,
knew it
bro.
perfectly
I don't
well.
care.
Perhaps
Shut
he wanted
up.
to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ich war da hinten schon, deswegen gehe jetzt hier lang.
And
Mal
so he
gucken.
detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got
Nope.
back on track.
Juhu!
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Hey!
No, not the
Hey!
right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Okay.
No. This isn't
Was
right at
zum?
all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I
Ja,
kidding?
okay.
It's all rubbish now.
Feiert!
The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Och, Digga!
All of his co-workers were gone.
Schon wieder. Der Dödel hat mich schon wieder neu starten lassen.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah, okay.
When Stanley... Wait.
Was?
What?
Was?
No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley,
Fuck.
did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find
Ich will hier
the
durch.
story.
Digga. Ich muss die Story erst... Oh mein Gott. Digga, ist das kompliziert. Jetzt alles, ja. Was zum Geier. Jetzt irgendwie so Labyrinth. Was soll denn die Scheiße?
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been
Oh
on.
my
I can
God.
promise you, there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again?
Ja,
I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting
Bitte.
over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Digga.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay,
Och,
yep,
Digga.
it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything? Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
Was zum...
No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Hä? Digga.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct?
Ja,
Do
it
you
is.
remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
Yay!
I know you put in
Yahoo!
a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job. Oh,
Thank
no.
you.
No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Ach, Digga.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line.
Was?
Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Okay. Ich glaube, ich mache. Es wäre vielleicht gar nicht so dumm, diesmal vielleicht ein bisschen dem Ding zu folgen, der Linie.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey
Ja.
such that a
Dann gehen wir mal.
destination
Was
is
zum?
inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Digga! Was zur Hölle?
Wait, cut the music. Go
Digga,
back
war das
and look at
laut.
that fern. Wait, what? We're back at the office?
Was?
No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Ach, Digga, nicht schon wieder.
Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Okay, komm, easy.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley. I'm ready
Unicorn.
for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay,
Was zum?
so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Unser Schicksal erwartet uns.
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget?
Was?
Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes
Digga,
blank
ich
simply
sterbe
because
ich?
it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me?
Das
Why
ist
don't I
hart.
get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I
Narrator
won't
ist
do it.
sowas wie
I won't
Sprecher.
do it. I won't do it. And the timer
Äh,
stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
ja, nice. Ich glaube, das
All
ist
of his
jetzt weg.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Okay. Digga, was zur...
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Digga.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Och, nicht schon
What
wieder.
horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
War's das? Sind wir fertig?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Kann doch nicht sein, dass es das schon war.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Digga.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Ja. Jetzt mache ich das selber nochmal, oder was? Ich drücke jetzt einfach den anderen Knopf mal gleich. Waren wir eben auch
Stanley
schon?
walked straight ahead through the
Ja,
large
waren wir.
door that read Mind Control
Escape!
Facility.
Ich escape jetzt, Digga.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Egal, easy.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Digga. Nee, ich
At
will
this
jetzt
point,
weiter.
Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Ja. Das habe ich schon verstanden. Juhu! Juhu! Hä?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Bye bye.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him
Ach,
instantly.
Digga. Hä? Stanley.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Digga, was zum... Wieso zur Hölle bin ich mitten in einem Museum? Von dem Büro. Ich check's nicht. Das Spiel ist so random. Wo ist das Ende? Escape.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Wieso ist das eigentlich jetzt diese Frau?
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game.
Nein, ich will meine
As long as
PlayStation
you
nicht
move forward, you'll
ausmachen.
be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
Äh, Wieso will das Game, dass ich meine PlayStation ausmache? Ach, Digga, jetzt bin ich wieder hier.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yay!
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Ja, das neuer Content ist, Bro. Waren wir irgendwie in Fabrik.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Hm.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Ich kann das erste Mal springen. Let's go. Juhu. Yahoo. Mann, ey. Das kann doch nicht angehen.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's trophies, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test trophy, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Yes, sir. Okay, das ist neu.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Ich würde mal sagen, Peace out, Leute. Haut rein. Part 2 kommt auf jeden Fall auch noch. Und ja, ich hoffe, euch hat's gefallen. Lasst ein Like da, abonniert. Grüße geht raus an Ghost Yannick 99 und jo.